If you're interested in games that bring you closer to motorsport management, or indeed used to play MotorSport Manager, then GT Manager is definitely a game you should keep your eye on. At the moment it's in early access, and I would say that as a spiritual successor for MotorSport Manager, it falls quite a long way short. But the potential is most definitely there. GT Manager really comes across as a realistic arcade game, but more work is required to really fulfill the gap that this game almost delivers upon. The graphics are nice, the gameplay is enjoyable, the UI is crisp, clean, and there are no bugs that I noticed. The audio is a little bit limited, but what exists is pretty decent, and there's a nice balance between arcade and realism. There are real brands, real drivers, and real tracks, and there's a mixture of sprints and endurance races throughout. Personally, I would like to see this game develop more into a simulation type game, but at the moment it kind of plays well as it is. And there's a push function, which at the first look seems like an arcadey feature, but actually it isn't, because if you ask your driver to push a little bit harder, give it that little bit of extra oomph, it can actually lead to accidents. So it works out quite nicely. Despite the fact that you can systematically manage your way through all GT Endurance Leagues from GT4 through to Hyper, at the moment, unfortunately, the game is just far too easy. There is literally no challenge, unless it rains or you get so bored that you make mistakes. Qualifying seems to be a bit pointless as well, as there's a single tactic which often works regardless of where you qualify, and the single tactic is low push, medium tyres, max fuel, try and go into the pits as little as possible, and you're almost certain to get in the top 5, if not 1 and 2. The entire gameplay really is too shallow. There's far too little depth in terms of car setup, development, tactics, employee management, etc. It could easily be considered to play like a mobile game in its current state. It's just too basic. But you don't necessarily notice this until you get to the end of the second season. If you're doing some development on a specific car part, and in the next season you move over to a new league, so from GT4 to GT3, the development that you've been working on will actually pass over as well. It's not car specific. Things like this really make this feel more like an arcade game than a realistic sim. The game is also quite linear. The unlock of features is disappointing. The research area, the testing area, the driver's training area, all these things unlock over a period of time, rather than it being a financial decision led by you, the player, which is a bit disappointing. If you win the previous league, that is not necessarily going to be enough in order to unlock the next division, and the reason for that is because you have to get a certain number of points. So you can win outright with a first and second spot for the drivers even, but that isn't necessarily going to be enough because it's a linear system. The endurance races are far too short, and there's no way to adjust this in the settings. You can't have a control to dictate how difficult the game is, or how long or how elongated the timescale is. If, for example, you wanted to have a 24-hour race, you simply can't. There are issues like the driver swap, which can add far too much additional time to a pit stop. Ordinarily, you would expect the drivers to switch over whilst the car's being refueled or whilst the tyres are being sorted, and this can take maybe 5 to 10 seconds. But in the game itself, it takes far, far longer. And unfortunately, the game just becomes boring and repetitive because there's no real challenge and because there isn't any real depth or control for you, the player. So basically, it looks nice and it plays nice and it is a lot of fun for a little while. The UI is clean and it's concise mostly. There are some areas where I don't fully understand what I'm reading. There are certain achievements that you can achieve as you go through a season, but they don't really ever clarify what benefit that gives you or how it works. Basically, this is a game with huge potential, but only if they listen to the feedback and act upon it. In my humble opinion, they need to add more realism, more simulation elements to the game, and give you some control over the timescale and the depth of realism for players to really get their teeth into. I think they need to expand upon everything. I'm talking about car setups, car testing, design, research, drivers, driver personalities, contracts. Literally everything needs to have another 3 or 4 layers added to it, as we saw back in MotorSport Manager, where there is a real sense of depth to the whole management system. I'd like to see more camera angles in the races, cockpit view, trackside view, helicam. At the moment there's just one camera and you can zoom in or out, and it's a little bit disappointing as a result. And I think they need to remove those linear unlocks of features and allow the players to buy these buildings and expand upon them, but only if they can afford it. Maybe a loan system would be nice as well, so you could really take it to town. I'd also like to see the option for people to create their own team. At the moment you sort of pick a car based on what's available, but it would be nice if you could just add your own brand. I don't see why that shouldn't be a feature in a game like this. But at the moment you can only pick from the cars that are available, which is nice. I mean, there is an element of coolness about having official cars and official drivers and official tracks, but I think everybody really would like to take on their own team and build it up from absolutely nothing. Right now your car and your drivers are almost always competitive regardless of the situation, and I think that's something that needs to be looked into as well. Maybe we need younger generated drivers who are not as fast, and we can develop them and train them and make them faster over time. It's a good game, it's a very nice game, and it's £17 odd. It's not overpriced, I don't think, but if they really want to fill that MotorSport Manager gap that's been left in everybody's lives, then I think they really do need to consider moving away from arcade and more into a proper management sim where they get a lot of detail and analysis and so on. Now that's going to obviously take a lot of time and a lot of effort, so this is a game that I would recommend you watch for maybe 6 months, 12 months and see what sort of progress and updates they bring out. If they start releasing DLC for a game that really doesn't quite deliver, I think maybe this is one to watch a little bit less, so to speak. But let's see what they do. Let's see if the developers pay attention to what feedback they're getting, and see if they actually care about making the best game they can or not. Thanks for watching. Please hit that like button and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Hurrah! We did it. Flipping time too.
Yeah, this is my life, my strife, my right to fight, to die on. And this is my game to play, to claim a brand new name, oh. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I'm a bit nervous that I might screw everything up that I've ever done. But what's the point of living if you ain't having fun? I guess I'll try this, try that, might miss, gotta find what I'm good at. I guess I look here, look there, over where am I scared, where am I at? I gotta make it in this life, whatever makes me happy, know I'm doing things right. Sipping in the summer on a goose and Sprite, or find a nightclub for the end of the night, oh. And we all got dreams, we all want things, but what you gonna do for it? How you gonna move for it? What you gonna be? And do you believe